What if your personal freedom turns into a subject of public amusement? Let's dive into the world of a blogger named Max. Max is not your average content creator. He's always trying to push the envelope, exploring the gray areas of social norms. In his latest venture, he's planned a public prank intended as a social experiment that would raise questions about personal freedom and respect. Max, like many bloggers, is a firm believer in the power of pranks. He sees them as a fun, engaging way to challenge people's perspectives. But he's not just looking for laughs. Max wants to use his platform to shine a light on societal issues, and he believes this prank will do just that. He's about to put his theory to the test in a public setting with a random passerby named Alex. Max's plan was simple: approach a stranger, carry out a harmless prank, and record the reactions. He was convinced that this experiment would be enlightening, that it would lead to a discussion about the boundaries of personal freedom. He thought it would be a fun and harmless way to stir up some controversy and get people talking. But, as we all know, the best laid plans can often go awry. Max was so engrossed in his content creation, so passionate about his prank, that he failed to foresee the potential pitfalls. He was about to learn a valuable lesson, one that many content creators have learned the hard way. You see, pranks are a delicate balancing act. They're meant to be funny, sure, but they also need to respect the feelings and dignity of those involved. Max was about to discover this firsthand. He was about to realize that his prank, intended as a harmless social experiment, was not as innocuous as he had thought. As we delve into this story, remember this: pranks are not just about the laughter and the shock value. They carry a responsibility, a duty of care towards those on the receiving end. And Max had no idea that his well-planned prank was about to take an unexpected turn. Max initiated his social experiment with a random passerby, Alex. Our blogger Max was all set to create what he thought would be a fun and enlightening prank. He approached Alex, an unsuspecting individual who was about to become the subject of Max's social experiment. Everything seemed to be going according to plan, with Max acting out the prank and Alex responding as any average person would. However, as the minutes ticked by, the atmosphere began to change subtly. What started as a light-hearted prank began to take on a different hue as Alex's reactions started to shift from surprise to discomfort. His laughs faded, replaced by a furrowed brow and a tight-lipped smile. Suddenly, it wasn't all fun and games anymore. Max, engrossed in his content creation, seemed oblivious to the change in Alex's demeanor. His focus was on the prank, the experiment, and the entertainment value it would bring to his viewers. He was so absorbed in his own world that he failed to notice the signs of discomfort clearly etched on Alex's face. As the prank continued, Alex's discomfort morphed into visible discontent. His request to stop filming fell on deaf ears, as Max, convinced that it was all in good fun, laughed off his concerns. But as Max laughed, Alex's patience was wearing thin. Suddenly, the situation took a turn. Alex's calm demeanor cracked, replaced by a wave of frustration and anger. His demands to stop filming became more forceful, his voice louder, his expressions stern. The prank, initially intended to be a harmless social experiment, was now spiraling into a heated confrontation. Caught in the high of his prank, Max failed to realize the seriousness of the situation. As he continued to insist that it was all a joke, Alex's frustration began to boil over. The scene was set for an unexpected twist, with the prankster and his subject locked in a conflict that was about to spill over into the legal realm. As Max laughed, Alex's frustration began to boil over. The light-hearted prank had taken an unexpected turn, setting the stage for a showdown that would raise important questions about personal freedom, respect, and the often overlooked consequences of a prank gone wrong. Suddenly, the tables turned when Alex revealed a surprising fact about himself. A twist no one saw coming, especially Max. Alex wasn't just any passerby, he was a trained lawyer, a fact that added an unexpected layer to the unfolding drama. The humor Max was banking on seemed to evaporate as Alex began to quote laws and regulations. The smile on Max's face began to fade, replaced by a look of concern. Alex pointed out that filming without his consent was a violation of his right to personal dignity and privacy. These words, coming from a legal professional, gave weight to the situation. The prank, initially intended to be light-hearted and illuminating, was now veering into a legal gray area. Max, ever the content creator, tried to justify his actions. He insisted it was all a joke, that nothing serious was happening. But Alex's words struck a chord. Max found himself in a predicament he hadn't anticipated. His experiment was spiraling out of control, and for the first time, he was on the receiving end of the discomfort. The camera continued to roll, capturing Max's attempts to navigate the escalating situation. His words, meant to diffuse the tension, only seemed to add fuel to the fire. Alex's legal background was proving to be a game changer. Max was caught in a whirlwind of laws and regulations, each one a reminder of the potential consequences of his actions. This was no longer just a prank, but a lesson in respecting personal boundaries. Max's insistence that it was all in good fun was falling on deaf ears. The situation was slipping out of his control, and the gravity of it was beginning to sink in. As the scene unfolded, the viewers could only watch in anticipation. The fun, social experiment had taken a serious turn, and they could only guess what would happen next. Max was caught off guard, realizing the joke might have gone too far. The tables had indeed turned, and Max was left grappling with the consequences of his prank. The moment of truth was unavoidable as Max faced the consequences of his actions. The stormy clouds of regret began to gather as Max found himself in the eye of a storm he himself had created. He was playing with fire, and now the heat was unbearable. His prank, initially meant to be a simple jest, had spiraled out of control, pushing him into a corner. Max had two choices. He could either continue to justify his actions and keep up the facade, or he could take a step back, reflect on his actions, and take responsibility for the turmoil he had caused. The realization came crashing down on him like a wave. He had crossed a line. His pursuit of content had blinded him to the discomfort of Alex, a passerby who had become an unwilling participant in his social experiment. In this moment of clarity, Max chose to take responsibility for his actions. He decided to face the music and make amends. It was time for him to step up, not as a content creator, but as a human being who had unwittingly trespassed on someone else's boundaries. Max's apology was public and heartfelt. He reached out to Alex, expressing sincere regret for his actions. His remorse was palpable. He acknowledged that he had violated Alex's rights and that his actions were inexcusable. He also apologized to his audience for setting a wrong example. He promised to learn from his mistakes and to ensure that such a situation would never arise again. In doing so, Max not only accepted his mistake but also set an example for his audience. He showed them that it was okay to admit when you're wrong and that everyone makes mistakes. What matters is how you handle the aftermath. Max's actions had consequences, and he was ready to face them. As the dust settled, a valuable lesson emerged from the chaos. Max, the blogger who thought a public prank would be fun, found himself in a situation he never expected. The prank went awry, and the seemingly harmless joke spiraled out of control, leading to a serious conversation about respect, personal boundaries, and consent. The man Max pranked, Alex, was more than just a random passerby. He was a lawyer who knew his rights and wasn't afraid to assert them. He pointed out that filming without consent violated his personal dignity and privacy. This wasn't just about a prank anymore. It was about respect for the individual and their rights. Max and Alex ended up having a conversation that should resonate with all content creators. It was a dialogue about the importance of respecting personal boundaries and obtaining consent in the content creation process. Even in jokes and pranks, it is crucial to remember that people's feelings and rights matter. Max learned the hard way that making content at the expense of others isn't just morally wrong. It can also have legal consequences. His experience serves as a reminder to all content creators that it's not just about capturing the funniest moment or the most shocking reaction. It's about treating people with respect, understanding their boundaries, and obtaining their consent. The conversation between Max and Alex also highlighted the importance of abiding by laws and regulations. As content creators, it's our responsibility to ensure that what we do is not only entertaining but also legal. Ignorance of the law is no excuse, and as Max found out, it can lead to situations that are far from amusing. Max's mistake and his subsequent public apology remind us all that even in the pursuit of entertainment, we must never forget the importance of respect and personal freedom. It's a lesson that goes beyond pranks and jokes. It's about treating others the way we would want to be treated. Through Max's mistake, we learned a valuable lesson about respect and personal freedom.